Yeah, baby. WSME. SM Enlightenment Radio. Good evening and welcome. It is another Sunday night spotlight. And every Sunday, it's always a special thing. Always a lot of fun. And we always have good guests on. And usually we deal a lot of music people and all of that, but SM Enlightenment is all about enlightenment for the soul, the mind, the ear. So my next guest is very, very special to our cause here at SM Enlightenment. And I think very, very special and very pertinent, very important, especially in these times. I have Terry Finnegan Lynch with me from Master Wellness Coaching. Okay, and welcome to the world of SM, Terry.
Carlton, thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here. This is a very first experience for me on radio, and I am truly honored. I love your intention of your program, of your media broadcast. Positivity is really the key to changing our lives and pursuing what we want to have, and so I think there's a terrific alignment between what we want and what we're providing for in our community, with just totally different vehicles to get there. But I think that it's really a good match, you and I.
What I really like is when I was checking out your website, there was a part here where it says, and I want to introduce you to the audience as your advocate for a better life.
Thank you.
And I mean, that's powerful. That's how did you ever come around to taking on that responsibility?
So curious. I mean, I absolutely love. No one has ever asked me that question, and so I'm going to do a little history about who I am. Okay. So 17 and a half years ago, I became a recovered alcoholic, and I had been in the journey with sobriety for 3 years prior to that, from the age of 42 to 45. Okay. And I couldn't stay sober. I was doing the right things, but what I found was the pain of drinking would be so great I would get sober, but then the pain of being sober would be so great that I would drink. So I did this round robin thing for 3 years, until on Halloween morning, my 16-year-old son said, "Mom, I will not live like this another day. One of you has to go." Wow. We were in a violent home. It was drug addiction and alcoholism. And my 16-year-old son was advocating for his wellness. Right. And he gave me permission to advocate for mine. And I left that day with the shirt on my back.
So let me ask you one thing. I didn't want to interrupt you for just 1 second. Because
sure.
What I think is interesting that people need to recognize, is that your relationship did not always seem that toxic, did it? I mean, you guys you had kids, you were together. I mean,
it was brilliant. We did a lot of things really, really well. Right. And it was also the perfect fit for what I refer to as our operating system. So I grew up wanting to be a hero and a victim. So when I got into this relationship, that played out perfectly. And so what happens sometimes is we find the perfect partner for our dysfunction, and we do our best in it because it's what we're really good at. Right. And then it starts to fail. And what I do as a coach is help people see that their operating system no longer is serving them. It was great when you were a teenager, maybe a young adult, and now you've got more stuff and it's not holding up anymore. Right. So life coaching is about taking a closer look at that. So I'm trained in that. And so my journey started out in sobriety. And then I was working at a dual diagnosis hospital for addiction and mental health. And I was overstepping my bounds, which I do. And the head psychiatrist said to me like this, get the hell out of here and get a degree. So a month later, I was enrolled in nursing school at 48 years old.
Wow.
And I did a 4-year degree in Boston. And one day in clinical, I had a nursing supervisor take me out at the knees in clinical. And it felt very, very unjustified. And so I went to my clinical teacher, and she said, Terry, you're a born advocate, and people will feel threatened by that. Ooh. Don't change a thing. So it was the first time that someone had actually named what my core value is.
Yeah, she was able to identify your real thing. And, you know, you'll see, and I notice it sometimes with myself in certain situations. It's, you know, first of all, when you have a sort of strong personality, strong spirit and energy that's with you, you know, there are folks that are just threatened by that anyway because they're insecure, and then they do what they can to sort of bring you down, and then if you're not really armored up, it'll get to you.
Yeah, she told me, if you don't change absolutely everything about you immediately, I will fail you in clinical. And it was my very first day. And I'm like, could you be more specific? You know? Right. And so, but the energy behind that place that I was coming from, where we're caring for the vulnerable, whether it be in addiction or domestic violence or in illness or in mental health, you know, that's where I go. And when you combine advocacy and empathy, my tagline is, I will hold you in inevitable success until you can. I will believe in you while you don't, until you do, which is what I'll show you how to do.
Sort of like the training wheels for you, until you could get up and walk on your own.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. And that comes from, you know, a real strong love position. Being able to love all is a gift that came in my journey of sobriety, where forgiveness became a grace that I washed all the way through me. So, of course, as an alcoholic mother, domestic violence, liar, cheat, and a thief, right? Tons of things not to be forgiven for. Yet, the true growth of anyone to become the highest version of yourself is self-forgiveness. It is cleaning the slate. It requires remorse and action. Right. But what we tend to do is stay in that harm because it gives us permission to act out. So if I'm owning that I'm not going to do this anymore because I've been forgiven and I don't need to drink or lie or cheat, and then I don't, then I have to level up. I have a whole new place that I have to go to, right?
Yeah, which is scary for a lot of people.
Totally.
Because that's changed because you've been in such a comfortable, a comfortable death pit.
Right. Comfort is it's so deceiving, comfort and familiarity and history. So when I do my coaching, what I love to say and reinforce all the time is, you're not responsible for your first thought. It's historic. You are responsible for your first action. What are you going to do? Because the thought will say, oh, I'm going to cheat. But then your action will be, no, I don't need to do that. I can be honest and be myself and be authentic. I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Right. So coaching is about giving these small tricks almost as to how to safely try something new and see how it works and build upon that. It's really cool. And Lofty Questions, which is the television show that you may have found me on.
Yeah, well, I think so.
Yeah. Well, that was born out of this COVID crisis. I had done something on Facebook, a workshop that was called The Buried Treasure of COVID-19. Because it's really easy to find what's wrong with COVID. But who am I and who do I want to be in the new norm? Because everything's up for grabs now.
Well, as terrifying as this whole pandemic is, and it is terrifying.
It's terrible.
I mean, it's extremely terrifying. There is good that can come out of it for one's own self-being, because I believe the isolation. And I was watching one of your videos with the Lofty Questions, where you were talking about that isolation, how it drove you.
Right.
It drove you to the big ask.
Right. You're actually using my language. You did watch this.
Well, I need you to explain to myself and to the audience, first of all, what is the big ask?
Right.
And it's like, how do you identify when you're at that moment? Because you could miss that moment, it seems, and then
we often do. And what I say in response to that, which I love, is it will come around again. The universe is really good at circling back and giving you what you might have missed the first time around. So it's okay if you miss it. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. You'll get it. The reason that I came into coaching was that nursing is about treating symptoms, and change is about the root causes. So if I don't understand my root cause, then anything that I do is temporary. If I make a decision to lose 30 pounds, get a new job, be nicer to my kids, and then my behavior follows, and then my outcome is okay. Well, the decision isn't rooted in my programming, identity, and beliefs. It's only a decision. And I can change my mind like that. So the ask that we look at in my model is, what do I want? What stands in the way of me getting it? And how do I get it and keep it? So what people get afraid of is the ask, because it's not sustainable in most models of change. Yo-yo dieting, the same job over and over, the same boyfriend over and over. So what we do in the big ask is to come into the dream state. What is your dream state? Who do you want to be? Dream it big. And so when we were in COVID, especially shelter in place, what I found for myself was the static of, for me, being lonely was bearable in the old world. I would get busy. I would do this, I would do that, But when I was in shelter in place as a senior with nothing else in my home but me, loneliness became a real, megaphone emotion. And it affected everything about me. It affected my health, my career, my money, my faith, and my relationships. We call that the big five. So what I did with the buried treasure was I started to look at what am I learning about myself in this circumstance that I wouldn't know otherwise.
Okay.
Because my driveway blues, like I'll go visit family and it'll be gay and food and music and connection and everything. And I get in my car and I turn the key and I look in the rearview mirror and I'm sad. And I call it my driveway blues. That I drive down the driveway to go home alone again, 17 years of this.
Right.
You know, and I call my sponsor and we chat about it. And she says, this too shall pass. Well, guess what? It didn't pass in COVID. It was like a bullseye on my forehead. So my big ask was, now that I know that loneliness is a bigger pain that I'm willing to look at in my everyday life, what do I need? What is my unmet need? So when we took the pause and all the external stuff went away, it was still very busy in our homes if there were a lot of people there. I get it. Long distance learning, all that stuff.
Right.
But for the most part, we went inside, both physically and, if you wanted to, emotionally. And you could look and say, what's going on with me? Do I like my job or don't I? Do I like my wife or don't I? Do I value what's going on in this household or don't I? Or how do I relate to my children or don't I? So we were faced with opportunities to look within that only this global pause really gave the world the chance to do this.
Right.
So my lofty questions are, within that pause, what are we learning about ourselves? What's our unmet need? And then how do we solve that? So that's how I march out in coaching with anyone is, what do you want? And if
Right.
you don't know what you want, that's a lie.
So you believe that no matter what, even if you don't think that you know consciously in the front of your head, like it's in there somewhere.
It's in there. The reason you're not in touch with it is it's too scary. You know, if you elevate your life, who are you leaving behind? Right? If you change and someone else doesn't, are you willing to take that risk that they may not grow with you? Like, there's lots of reasons to stay the same.
Yeah.
You know, it's safe. And, and it's not that bad, right? I was a nurse. It wasn't that bad. But on a winter night, as charge nurse, I worked third shift for 10 years. I had 27 beds, and I counted how many patients weighed more than 300 pounds. And there were 7 out of 27. I'm like, I'm not fixing anything here.
Yeah.
So my unmet need was the need to move the needle in people's lives because I had done it myself. I was the evidence that this does work.
Right.
Right? So how do I do that? And I came home and I was here in this loft during a blizzard. And I'm like, what do you want, Terry? And I'm like, I want to make a difference. And then I was like, well, it's not going to happen in nursing. I've already given it 10 years. And then I'm like, well, where will it happen? And I said, what about life coaching? And I went online and I found the school that was a perfect marriage to my journey of recovery and growth. And that's my training. So the beautiful thing is, someone told me when I said I didn't know, that's a lie. There was a teacher who preceded my ability to say that as a truth, who told me that's a lie. And I learned to do this tumble down theory. So every little kid, right? Mm-hmm. Every little kid will ask you, why, right?
Yep,
they don't have a
6-year-old.
Filter, right? They don't have a filter that says, you got to stop here.
Yeah.
So we keep asking why. So if you say, I don't know, why don't you know? I don't know. Why don't you not know? And then you consider, what if you did know? What if you did know? What would your answer be if you did know? And so coaching is about choices.
Right.
What
so
if?
It sounds like and this is the reason why I think that, this coaching is so important. And I know that we had a conversation or off the record where, as we were discovering, like, hey, just about most of the a lot of big people that do important things in the world, and even journalists and so forth,
Oh yeah.
They got a coach.
They've had coaches for a long time, well before it hit what is starting to be mainstream. But all the big dogs can't do this on their own. I mean, I have a coach. I actually have two coaches, because I can only take you as far as I'm willing to go, and I'm going to hit balls, right? Because that's the journey. Is I'm going to resist what's next because I've never been there before, right? So you are a teacher for me, because you're inviting me to have a conversation in a way that I've never explored before. And, wow, how blessed am I? And what will I learn from this? You had a whole bunch of ideas that we could share. Yeah. And, and if you had asked me a month ago, what about a radio interview? I'd be like, are you out of your mind? What about a television show? Are you out of your mind?
Yeah, and here you are.
Here I am. And, it's so what I think people deserve, and I think this is what is the A+ of coaching, is that advocate, that rapport, that someone who's going to hold space for you when you're struggling. I have zero judgment about anyone's journey with me. It's not about checking boxes and like making this progress list and setting goals and obtaining them. It's really the discovery of, who are you? How did you come here? Because many, many, many times the story of your life was written by somebody else.
Yeah.
Right? Ooh. So until you can see that and then say, no, I'm writing my own story. I'm going to write my own story. So with my client that I met with today, we're at session 11, and today he wrote his own story. Now there's 12 sessions. He's signing up to continue on because we're right breaking through. But he's a musician, and he's a brainiac coder, and he's got all this genius, and he was stuck in someone else's story.
I want to stop right there for a second, because you know what? There's one topic that I really want to expand upon. We want to pay a bill or two real quick. But when we come back, because I think what I'm hearing is a lot of the root to one's success in things that they want to do is their self-talk.
It is huge.
And the way that they're talking to themselves, the way that they, because if your self-talk, it has to start there. So if it's negative, then you're going to shoot down any idea that you have in the first place.
Right.
And so I want to get into ways that we can identify that negative self-talk and ways that we could,
Oh, I'd love to. I'll give you some stuff.
Okay. So we're going to be right back with more of the Master Wellness Coaching from Terry Finnegan Lynch. Man, this is a great program. I am so happy that you're joining me. Stick around, baby. We're going to be right back, folks. All right, baby. It is WSME Enlightenment Radio. The great Doc P with you. All right, another Sunday night spotlight. It is fantastic. Happy Sunday. It's a great day.
Yeah.
All right. And we're here with Terry Finnegan Lynch of Master Wellness Coaching. On the website, it says the True to Me Network.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
True to me, and where we left off on just like a lot of the basic things with coaching and how important it is, and how everyone is. It's important to have a coach, in regardless of who you are. You know, I mean, yeah, people could do it on themselves, but you know, what I'm really thinking and what I'm hearing is that the self-talk is important, because I know, even dealing with my own experience, you know, sometimes I'll have a great idea, you know, of something that could solve a lot of problems, or you know, bring me to the next level in something, but then, you know, I'll be sizing myself up, you know, like, oh well, this and that does what you're thinking about. You ain't gonna be that good, or you know, you haven't done this kind of thing before. You know, what are you thinking? You know, who are you to be thinking about this? So that's self-talk. I mean, when the self-talk is negative and it just seems unbearable, I mean, how do you stop it? How do you combat that?
Well, I have a little trick. So self-talk is it's the story that we're really familiar with, and it serves a purpose.
Right.
Okay. So everything that we do has a positive intention, even negative self-talk. The positive intention is to keep me safe from the risk of starting a new idea.
Right.
So what we learn in coaching is we don't bash ourselves. So I used to be like, okay, I'd drop a dozen eggs on the floor and I would name myself every swear in the book. And, you know, that's like a simple one. Like, right. It's just being stupid. But on a bigger scale, we can do that. And so, like, how do we interrupt it, right? So the first and easiest step is, you know, and you may have spoken about this before, but it's awareness. Awareness comes before change, right? So you got to hear yourself actually say it, like that you're defeating yourself. So you need, the first step is to say, am I paying attention to what I'm saying and how I treat myself, right? So then when you hear it, the easiest way to interrupt it is say the opposite. Boom. Say the opposite. 3 words. Say the opposite. Boom. Practice that.
So when you start to say to yourself, you know, I'm so stupid.
No, I'm not.
I'm smart.
No. Yep. I can't do this. Yes, I can. No one will believe me. I don't need them to. I believe in me. So basically, the whatever our thought is the beginning of everything. That's why you say positive thoughts. So our thoughts are the beginning of everything. The beginning of our emotions, the beginning of our behavior, the beginning of our outcome. The concern about thoughts is that they come from long ago. A lot of them come from our childhood. Right. So in the immediate need of interrupting that spiral is a very quick trick, say the opposite. So I often will give my new clients a rubber band to wear on their wrist. And when they go to that negative self-talk, I make them pull the rubber band. It slaps against their skin. That startles the brain.
Right.
It anchors the new thought, which is the opposite. So basically what you're doing is, and this is quantum physics, but very, very simple. The brain is malleable. It means it grows. So when you have a thought that you have over and over and over and over again, it creates more neural nets to have that thought. So when I used to say, I can't not drink, I need a drink, I need a drink, I need a drink, I built a neural net in my brain that supported that I needed to drink.
Right.
Okay. So once I started saying, I'm not going to drink for today, that actually dies off. And the new thoughts grow. And this is science. It's real. So you can reconfigure your brain and change the neural pathways by just changing your mind. And you don't have to believe it. So you don't have to believe that I'm wonderful.
Right.
You just have to say it. And the brain begins to rewire. You can believe it later. But the beginning is just saying it out loud.
And you know, if you look, you hear that in a lot of places, especially like even in religion, in the good book, you know, when they talk about a changed mind, like
right.
this.
It's so real. It's so real.
Yeah, and that's why people can be brainwashed if they hear something enough times,
right?
And to the point where they start subscribing to it,
right?
It's like the most evil thing I think that any individual could ever do to a child is to tell them that they can't do something. You know, oh, you'll never do that. You can't. You know, because once you're telling yourself that, then it's you know, it's a wrap. It's a done deal.
Exactly. Well, and the kindness. So I think I'm not sure if I finished this thought before, but when we have the negative thought, what I want you to do is celebrate it, not damn it.
Okay.
So you say, I can't do this. And then you say the opposite. Yes, I can. I'm not mad at myself for saying that I can't do it. That's historic. It's okay that that's what I used to think. Yeah. So what I believe in is that we don't learn from subtraction.
Okay.
So if we try to stop doing something, it's harder than if we try to do something else. So when we do the opposite, we're actually not stopping something, we're choosing something new.
Yeah.
Okay? That's a positive in itself. So I'm not going to say that anymore. Or you say, instead, I'm going to say this.
Right.
So what is the positive thing that is the opposite of what's going on? And that's pretty easy, because if you don't even know the opposite of something, you can just go on to Google and say, what's the opposite of? And Siri will tell you.
That's right.
You know, because we can get stuck. So it's really, really simple. If you set up an intention each day to say, I'm going to be aware of the 5 times I say something negative. Because what you'll find is that there's patterns. You'll say the same negative thing over and over and over again. Whoa. I hate my job.
Wow. You know, you're starting to get scary now.
I hate my job. How many times do I say I hate my job and I stay there?
Yeah.
Right? So if I say I hate my job, I think I'll look for a new one. Or I wonder what I'd like to do instead.
Right.
Guess what's going to happen? Someone like you is going to call me and put their email in my junk box. I'm going to find it. I'm going to end up on a radio station.
Hey, you know, hey, the universe works in mysterious ways, and you know, I really do believe that there's a reason for everything, and that you know, just because we're definitely on the same path. And then another thing that you do, a service that you offer in your coaching that I think is just all absolutely so important, because some people they focus so much on themselves, which we should, but I mean, we're in families, we have partners, we have children, and you know, you actually do you also offer family coaching.
I do
as well.
It's my strength, actually.
Wow.
So I'm sure she won't mind me saying this. So this woman called and said, I need you to help my son.
Okay.
And I listened to her and I said, well, I'm not going to help your son until I help you. Because your childhood affects your children's childhood.
That's right.
Right? So And if you demonstrate to your children that you're willing to go to places that have had an effect on them to come to a better version of you. So the True to Me network comes from the intention that in order for me to be true to anyone, I need to be true to me.
That's right.
So if I'm hiding behind my own pains, my own wounds, my own story, my own stuff, and then I want my children to get better. Like my son was a rare bird in that he fought harder for his wellness than I was willing to.
Right.
Children will do that. But it was when Brian did that it awakened me to my responsibility to get well, right? Like the, and so the families, when a parent and a kid work together on going through the same program, experiencing the same opportunities to use these tools, the change is exponential. They're both like supporting each other, challenging each other,
right.
Celebrating each other, and it's absolutely remarkable the pace to which the core work occurs, and it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful, and everything that I do is tailored to the needs of the person in front of me. I'm, gifted enough as an empath and an intuitive to hear what you don't say. So I do a lot of the work for you to bring to you to that which you aren't aware you're not saying. Like the silence is not intentional in that, but it's right there. And so I was talking with a woman outside yesterday, and I said, you have this beautiful mansion, and every door is locked with a key. If we worked together, we would unlock every one of those doors, and everything would come out into the main room, and then you'd be able to use it all.
Right.
You go on this journey of books and things and this and that, and every time you finish one, it goes into another room. Nothing's integrated. And I knew that in a 20-minute conversation. She's like, exactly. And so it's the coaching thing is about this rapport of therapy is clinical. You shouldn't get to know her or him. That's against the rules. Here, it's exactly the opposite. I want you to feel how much I love you and how much I care for you, because that's
so important.
Safety, love, safety, and belonging.
Because when we feel that we have that, then we are in a safe enough place to open up, and we're in a safe enough place to also look within and discover things. Because if we can feel that we have that love. Because I mean, in our essence, I think as human beings, we, that's what it is that we crave for, and that's what the life energy is.
It is.
Love,
safety, and belonging are actually if you go to Maslow or Erik Erikson or any of those early thought leaders about who we are as children. Love, safety, and belonging. If any of those are compromised, our growth and development is too. So if one person loves me authentically, then I can do it.
That's all you need.
That's all I need.
That's all you need. It's just like a positive thought could take out a negative one. I always use the analogy of, what happens when you turn a light on in a dark room. That darkness, it goes away. It actually takes more energy.
Did you read that from my website? Because I said, I said, in my website, I say, coaching is like when Edison invented the light bulb. Coaching is turning on the light of our habits, shedding light on our habits. Our habits are route, they're routine, they're embedded, and they stop serving a purpose as we age. They're created in, by the time you're 11 or 12, you got your system down.
Yeah.
I'm the class clown, I'm the leader, I'm the athlete, I'm the debater, I'm the rebel, whatever it is, you've made a decision by the time you're 11 years old what it is. And then you run with it, right? And what if you were more than that, right?
Yeah, you got to keep that light. You got to keep that light shining. It's like I'm always to the P-Funk, flashlight and George Clinton and all that, where they say everybody's got a bit of light under the sun. So you have the light within you. Right. You just got to let it shine.
Yeah, and that's a really huge point, because I say to everyone, everything that I'm sharing with you, you already know.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. You just don't remember it.
Yeah, and you bring it out, and that's what coaching is.
Right. So the magnificence of who you are already is. Let's celebrate that. Let's find it. Let's name it. Let's bring it to be. And it becomes I always say at the end of a session, God, thank you for letting me care for your children. It is an honor, because this moves our personalities and our purpose to the truth,
right? To
my authentic self. And it's not a lot of heavy lifting. It's just a lot of positivity, accountability. So there's five steps that I use. So first we start with stepping back. So often we're like the squirrel at the base of the tree running around getting nuts. It's winter and getting nuts, right? Uh-huh. So we want you to go up into the bird's nest and see the whole meadow. So step back. And then what we do is we let go of that what stands in the way. So, if when I was going through COVID in the shelter in place and loneliness was beating me down, and I was, in front of the television, eating stupid food, not talking to people, gaining 8 pounds within 4 weeks. And, I got stuck, right? And I know what I'm doing, right?
Right.
But I still got stuck.
The coach. You're the coach, and you was having a hard time.
I did. And then I started to ask myself, and then then one of my coach at the 6-week mark, the two of us were like, okay, this shit's got to stop. Because we're in a spiral. So
let me ask you, with the coaching, like, is there because you say like when you're in certain weeks of it, is there like a standard like kind of curriculum
Great question. And that's why I absolutely fell in love with this school. So I've been through the 12 steps of AA. So I wrote my 4th step for 2 years. When I did my fear inventory, I had 99 different words for fear. I was thorough. I did it once and I did it completely. So I've got that. And I have 10 years of individual therapy, 5 years of group therapy, NLP, retreats, spiritual this, spiritual that. So what happened when I came to HCI and looked at what they do in this 12-week program is that it has a spine. And so there are the first part of it is, getting up in the bird's nest and clearing the clutter. So you have to make room for something new. Okay, so that's A and B. Well, that's pretty simple, right? So go clean your room, right? So, it's that simple. Then 3 and 4 are a little bit flexible. So it looks at, like, what are you looking at? Is your health a concern? Is your career a concern? And we kind of tweak it to work those things. And we do mirror exercises, and we do some mental rehearsals, and we do some really fun things. But week 5 is sabotage.
Uh-oh.
Every single client, by the time they get to week 5, is a no-show on that week. Whether it be a half an hour before, I don't feel well, or my car broke down, or no call. Every single person.
So what is it about week 5 where things just get so real?
Right. It's exactly it. It's like, wait a minute, I'm changing and I don't know that I want to own this. Right? So what we do is I let it sit there. So, one of my gals didn't show up on Sunday, didn't call me on Sunday. Finally got in touch with me on Monday with her tail between her legs, all kinds of guilt and shame. I'm like, don't you love this way that we operate? Guilt and shame, perfect part of my life story, right? So what we do in week 5 is show you how to anticipate your own sabotage and to celebrate the fact that you want to, that this is scary, that I'm not sure I'm ready for this. Okay, if you're not sure, if you're not ready, that's okay. Let's go back a step and review and anchor that part of you, of that love, safety, and belonging that's unanswered. What is the unmet need that's still going on that's blocking you from going to here, right?
Right.
And then we do 6. 6 is the rebellious inner child. 8 is woundology. So what are the wounds that you carry from trauma, from messaging, and we look at those and we empower you through those. And it follows the spine so that by the time you get to 12, you're like, holy man, my life is different. And no matter what I'm coaching, whether I have a 74-year-old and I have a 24-year-old. Right now. It doesn't freaking matter.
Yeah. It's still the same kind of steps.
All the same steps. All the same. Yeah. And it all works. Unless you don't want it to, and that's fine. Come back and see me. I'll always be here. But I'm keeping your money.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I want to mention.
Yeah. How affordable is coaching?
Yeah. Well, coaching is not covered by any insurance.
Okay.
And I'm grateful for that. And I'll tell you why. Guess how hard I work at physical therapy when I have a $10 copay. Big fat zero.
Yeah, because you ain't paying.
No, I'm not investing anything here if I don't have a financial commitment to it. There's also the principle that money is energy. So so my client, he's like, I have the X amount of dollars in my checking account. I'm like, great, subtract 1,000. He's like, why would I do that? I said, because you need some things to make your life up level. Just saving money isn't the answer. Spending money on stuff that's going to make your life better is important. You need wings on your computer. You need a modem that is higher speed. And he's like, okay. And I said, now you've got X. So it was 6, now it's 5. Now multiply that times 2. Why? Because you're spending this money on me, on you. And he actually paid me more money because I added another session each week for him just as a check-in.
Right.
And he's like, I'm giving you more money. You're way worth this. Wow. So what happened though is by making those values of spending money as the recipe of your wellness, then you create it in the universe and opportunities show up, whether it's understanding who you are or getting a new job.
Right.
So this girl that just started working with, she's on session 6. So within the first 3 weeks, she got a new job. She stopped using substitutes, and she put boundaries in place with her boyfriend.
I've seen on your site, people have lost like 60 pounds just from doing a session with you.
Right. So Carol, who you're reading about, Carol came to me. She did 12 weeks, right? Uh-huh. And she lost 12 pounds. However, this is sustainable. So she left. She just did the 12 weeks. She went on her life. And 10 months later, she was down 65 pounds. 2 years later, she's still down 65 pounds. She was on 7 medications. She's now on 3. She quit smoking. She can climb stairs. She got a raise at work. She got a business partner at work. She has a better relationship with her son. She is saving money, and she's out of a toxic relationship.
Man, just like they say, now how much would you pay?
Right. and it's all, I have what I feel I'm worth as my price, and I also know that people can't necessarily afford that. So we talk about it. But the, it's really, you create what you're willing to spend.
Well, hey, if it means a better life, I mean, that's priceless.
Priceless.
That is priceless, and you are the advocate for a better life. Master Wellness Coaching. Tell the folks where it is that they can find you.
Oh, thank you. So my website is www.masterwellnesscoaching.com, and then I have a YouTube channel which you can see my Lofty Questions television programs. I'm filming my next one this week. And that's at Lofty Questions with Terry Finnegan Lynch, because some other people have used Lofty Questions, so you have to type in my name. Please subscribe. Right. You did today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
And then, you can always email me, which the easiest email is my name at gmail.com. TerryFinneganLynch@gmail.com. And, I'm on Facebook. Lots of ways to find me.
Well, we're going to make sure that we also share your information on SMEnlightenmentmedia.com. And, I want to talk to you about maybe possibly doing some wellness tips that we can run sort of like as PSAs.
Well, I'd love to. I mean, I've done that. What we do in coaching is teach in paradigms. So they're really great. One of the early ones is small hinges swing big doors. So you think that, okay, I have to quit drinking. That's a big effing door, right?
Yeah.
Well, what if we only have to oil the hinges? And so coaching is about those small hinges that move the big door. So when I do coaching about in any way, I use a paradigm to anchor the strategy to change.
Right.
And it's so beautiful because it's visual. You can see it. I see the door. I see the hinges.
Master Wellness Coaching with Terry Finnegan Lynch. Make sure that you check her out. All right, check out that website. And hey, Terry, I want to thank you.
I had a blast.
Hey,
really.
I've learned a lot, and I mean, I am a strong believer in the coaching, and folks, you need to jump on this. All right, MasterWellnessCoaching.com, the True to Me Network.
Woohoo!
Terry Finnegan Lynch, thanks again so much.
You're so welcome.
And have a great night.
Thank you.
Peace
so
and
much.
blessings.
Good night, everybody on Enlightenment Radio. Wonderful to see you.
Peace.